Namaste everyone, this is Aga. Welcome to my channel, Tree of Life Spiritual Coaching. I hope you appreciate this setup today. I wanted to have a more cozy background for this recording because I'm going to be talking about hypnosis and how I came to become fascinated with this technique, quantum healing hypnosis, and started facilitating sessions for my clients after I got certified. And hypnosis is such an interesting and still controversial topic for a lot of people because there is this mainstream idea that a hypnotist will put you in a state during which you are being tricked to do things that are maybe outside of a scheme of things which you would normally like to do, and part of your mind is being controlled by somebody else, and you're at the mercy of the therapist or someone who is performing hypnosis on you. So I wanted to bring some light into this topic. We're going to talk about science a lot today because I just want you to know that spirituality and science are bridging. There's all these amazing discoveries in the field of epigenetics and obviously quantum physics, and how it ties into the cycles of brain, where hypnosis is induced, and all kinds of fascinating things about the brain, about the mind, and how the mind controls the field. So to begin with, I would like to go back maybe a little over 100 years, and when the industrial era began to be fascinated with everything visible, and based on Newtonian physics created this model that matter is really the focus of the mind, of the brain, and consciousness is kind of like a byproduct of biology. This trend in science, in all kinds of industries that came to power in the late 1900s. They all use the Newtonian model of physics that is based on matter. And the instruments used at that time, the physical instruments that were used to measure or study mechanisms of phenomenon that we were observing in our environment, were not as precise as the instruments that we're using today. There are all kinds of different ways that we can actually measure the field, the electromagnetic field, and all these new discoveries are leading us to embrace a knowledge that our mind is incredibly powerful tool when it comes to navigating the DNA of our bodies, that creating a sense of well-being, or on the opposite side, creating a sense of disempowerment, disease, feeling of helplessness, feeling of disconnect. So in 19th century and beginning of 20th century, the materialism, basically looking at matter versus anything that's invisible, started to really anchor into the human subconscious based on industrialization, based on all these new capitalistic ventures that started running the world. So Newton was very convenient to all these business people who were creating factories and starting all kinds of really big operations that would influence financial world, that would influence markets, and so on. And then in 1953, there were additional science searches that were done by two scientists. I need a lot of help here to remember the names. James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953. They were doing studies on DNA, and they came to this conclusion that DNA is a blueprint that creates basically an experience in the body. This concept gained popularity. There was this cover of Life magazine in 1953 that talks about this, and it really framed a basis for a belief system that carried for another 60 years until this day, that we are helpless victims of our DNA, that this genetic information will activate and we will also experience maybe cancer or another illness that is in our genetic makeup. Well, these scientific discoveries now are actually being really torn into pieces, because in this new science we are learning that DNA is nothing but a blueprint to build protein. So blueprint does not turn on and off by itself. It actually responds to a signal from the outside of the membrane. It's not able to self-actualize and have a decision on its own. Your mind, your belief system creates a specific signal, and that's how DNA will create the protein. So either the protein will be perfect, healthy, supporting your well-being, or it will be crooked. It will maybe have some gaps. It will not create a strong building block for your body. And in you lays the decision, how are you going to use your mind? How are you going to feed yourself, not just food, but your thoughts, the environment, from the people. All of those things are affecting how the DNA is lining up to create this blueprint. So again, from DNA sequences, there is no one pattern that just repeats itself when it comes to building the blocks for protein. You can have 30,000 different or more configurations. It will all depend again on very individualistic way that you use your mind, the food that you're consuming, the way you treat yourself mentally, energetically, physically. All of those things will actually tell DNA what to do. This puts you in control of your well-being. In the light of these new discoveries, we can't push the responsibility towards our ancestors, towards our environment, because we are basically creating the experience we are having, and this is on much deeper level than we think. There are other studies that also talk about how the perceived experience that is very subjective is the one that actually will be more dominant, more prominent than any objective circumstance. So no matter where you are, no matter what situation, the way you look at this outcome, the situation, this is how it will be interpreted by your DNA. If you would like to learn more about these discoveries, please Google epigenetics or the medicine of vibration, the medicine of the field. Quantum physics also talks about how something can be experienced as a wave and also as a structure. And now let's talk about hypnosis and how does it all tie into this concept of creating an experience that is preferred experience, because it all happens very early in our age, and again some of those blueprints we are inheriting from our ancestors. Why am I mentioning to you all these new discoveries and all this new information that's merging spirituality and science, which I think in a near future will be one and the same field of research? Because I believe in incredible power of the subconscious mind. When you study the brain, the part that is responsible for our subconscious habitual reactions and actions is much, much bigger than the one that's in the front of your brain, the frontal lobe. 95% of your decision-making process is happening habitually through your subconscious mind, and only 5% is the conscious mind. And let's talk a little bit about it and what's happening, because I'm sure most of you are not aware of why you act certain way, why perhaps you repeat the same patterns of your parents, of people in your family. Before we are born, even in the third trimester of the pregnancy, we're starting our programming process. The way the mother is experiencing the connection with the father, how she's feeling, if the child is wanted or not, all those factors are being registered by the fetus. So if the baby is rejected, if it's not wanted, that is all part of this programming that will affect the child's life through the subconscious programming. And the baby is being born up to 5-6 months. The baby is mostly in a delta state. So that state is sleeping, resting. Newborns are very much just feeding and sleeping. They're transitioning from a very low frequency, I'm talking about like 0.5 to 3 hertz brain frequency, to more conscious state, and it happens very slowly. From the age of half a year to about 6-7 years old, children are mostly in theta state, THETA, and this state is connected to hypnosis, to a deep meditation, to dreaming, to creativity. So from the age of half a year to 6-7, kids are in a state of being programmed. That's where the mind can be fractured the most easily. That's where the children are a clay, and they're very malleable depending on their environment, what they're being taught at home, at school. That's how they will learn to operate in the environment. And why is that happening? So in the first few years of life, the mind is not yet equipped with questioning. Kids are mainly absorbing what's around. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to learn all that they need in order to survive. This is an evolutionary tool that we have in order to adapt to the environment. Is the environment loving, supportive, or maybe our living environment is unsafe? Maybe we don't have a physical touch with our parents. All these things will shape the way we will operate later on in life. When you think about animals, let's talk about elephant. If you want to train an elephant to perform in some kind of a entertainment circus, let's say, you tie this giant elephant to something that's stable, that it cannot move. And for several months, the elephant wakes up and it only has a certain range of motion, right? After several months, the chain might be removed, but there is already a programming that is running in the subconscious of this animal that will not even create a possibility in that animal mind that there is more space and they can go outside of that range of motion or that place they're tied to or were tied to. So the same happens with us. We get programmed to believe that certain things are the way they are, that gene affect our health, our well-being. That's just a very obvious belief system that we're dealing with, because everybody learns that at school, that this is how it is. It's still in the books, even though it has never been proven, but there was assumption made, and we all adapted it because it became mainstream. But obviously the programming runs deep and is very personal, depending on what you are going through as a child, your own environment. What is your range of motion? Again, are you that small elephant that only has certain amount of space? Or is there more opportunity for free expression, you feeling loved and supported and exploring the world around you? So this happens, at early age. You're at school, you're learning things on a very basic level, as far as, conscious learning, language, math, art, music. There are two more states of the brain in which we function. One is alpha and one is beta. So beta is a state of full alertness. You are in a classroom learning consciously some information. This is alert state that is used when we're learning new things. When we get accustomed to something, like let's say you learn how to drive a car, you can drive a car in an alpha state, and that state is already a state of light hypnosis, light trance. Why? Because we are deciding, the part of our brain that's the subconscious part decides that I know already how to do this. I don't have to put full focus into it. I can do a little bit on an autopilot. I can pay attention to some most important things on the road, but a lot of the background, we're basically just ignoring it. We don't need to pay attention to all those little noises and all those little movements around. So most people, they don't know, but they're already functioning. We all are actually functioning in a light trance, which is alpha, because we already habitualized certain things, and habit equals subconscious mind. And the beta state, the one of the frequency 14 to 30, is the one of full alertness. Let's say you're in a classroom, you're learning new information, you're about to pass an exam. It's basically a state of full conscious alertness. Like I said before, we have 4 different states of the mind that we function in. And hypnosis uses the data state, the one that kids function in between age of half a year and 6, 7. And why is it so powerful state to reprogram yourself? And why do I recommend using this technique? Well, when you come to the place of thinking, you're not paying attention to your environment, therefore you're defaulting to your subconscious. You are giving power to those habitual reactions and ways of being that you have built over time based on your environment. And what happens is, when we don't pay attention, we may have conscious intentions to change. We may have all kinds of plans to create amazing life for ourselves. But guess what? When you tune into the thinking, the noise of our environment, this all goes to back burner, because we are not realizing who is really running the show at this moment. So we might feel so confused. Okay, I'm so excited to build my future, build this business and have this success. And we start our day very enthusiastic. And then at the end of the day, we don't understand the correlation between what happened, why our dreams are not coming true. We are not meeting people we would like to meet. We are not having all these experiences that we would like to have. Well, the reason is that subconscious is in a shadow, is in a background. We don't know what's going on there. So how can we even understand who is making decisions. First, we have to start paying attention to our thoughts. What are the patterns of our thoughts? Do we have habits of self-criticism, guilt, all those different things that usually were being coached by our parents? I remember from my childhood being never praised for anything that I would do. I was a very good student. I was helping kids because I was very gifted in writing and in math. And it was easy for me to just offer help. But I was always compared to other people, to other kids, and they were always praised. My achievements were never mentioned as something that was valuable. My parents never spent time with me building my self-esteem. So when I entered college, I was, outside very upbeat, very energized, but inside I felt very, very disempowered. I felt like I'm in some kind of a cell, and I could mentally, consciously understand that I am trapped, but I had absolutely no tools how to get out of this trap. And there were, like I said, no bars, just like with this elephant. But I'm like thinking, I have no moves. Like, I don't know how to walk in a way and function in a way that is, more free. I had no idea how to actualize freedom. So I did use hypnosis when I was in my 20s. I did past life regression. I still remember some of my incarnations, although at that time, a lady that was doing this work on me, that was back home in Poland, she did not do any healing once we got to the subconscious part. I was seeing all these events and people and me having all these experiences. Some of them were not very pleasant, but besides the journey, I haven't done any inner work to maybe change some of those feelings that I had around these experiences in those other lives. So why do I choose quantum healing hypnosis techniques? Since I already do a lot of coaching, energy work, and therapies with people that are integrative, where we bring the suppressed, fractured part of the minds back to your conscious awareness, so you can actually use those tools to create a life that you want. I felt that the healing aspect, once you are in a trance state, and we can change the way you feel about these situations from the past, is a very, very powerful way to turn things around. Because once we change the belief system around the situation that was traumatic, we're walking out of the situation like it never happened. And I experienced this myself. I was doing all kinds of things to come back to the place of being untouched virtually. I've done Vipassana for many years, pranayama, breath work. I've done a few sessions with ayahuasca, and went really deep into the place of just psychically operating on my subconscious. I've done this a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and ever since I completed this surgery, I'm like a new person. I have no anxiety. I absolutely feel ecstatic most of the time. Maybe if there's less sun, I need to do more yoga just to make sure that I have this level that I want to live in available to me, right? So I create an environment around me to influence all these receptors, right, in the body. Let me bring you another piece of information before I end this video. I always talk about empowerment and how amazing our bodies are. These are not just cells. These are incredible tools. Your body is a vehicle for transformation, for transmitting information. We have studies that prove this at this moment right now. There are these cells on the outside of your membranes. They're called actually self cells, like they are responding to self. And they are on the outside. They are not on the inside of the cell. And why is that? Because you are not really in the body. And I'm going to give you an example to demonstrate that. Maybe it will convince you that working with your subconscious is the key component to your well-being. Now, you know, with all those scientific advancements, we can do heart transplants, right? So there is this case, and you can look up online and do your own research. There is this woman, young woman, who had a heart transplant surgery. And when she recovered from the treatment, she started having nightmares regularly, severe nightmares with very intense details. She ended up going to a doctor and describing that she has this repetitive dream over and over again, and it's just haunting her. She's not able to enjoy, you know, her new heart, because there is something, the message is being broadcasted through this heart into her consciousness. And it turns out that the lady was receiving information from the heart about the way her donor was killed. So she got this heart from a girl who was killed. And police got interested in this case as well. They were able to identify the killer based on the information they received from this lady who got the heart. And how incredible is that, right? Our heart, if you still are not aware of it, is 500 times more electromagnetically charged than our brain. There is always communication happening. The heart is really the tool for our transformation, and it's literally broadcasting information that does not come from the body. Again, there are cells that are on the outside of the membranes. They're broadcasting information into your body about you, but you are not the body. So maybe it's too science fiction for you, I don't know. I'm really fascinated by the science of the mind and the field. We already know that the mind is the sole governor of the field. So your mind is so powerful, but the 95% of it is the subconscious mind. This is the mind that was developed over time when we were evolving. We were hunters, hunter-gatherers. Our mind was definitely wired towards survival. We're in different times right now. So if you would like to not feel like you need to react like there is some danger around you, because it's really not. You create your own experience, right? It's really, really cool if you start monitoring your thoughts, kind of like thoughts underneath the thoughts, you know? If you're having a reaction, ask yourself, why do I have such strong reaction? What is it that is true about myself that I'm reacting to this information so strongly? And just keep digging. There are all kinds of tools that are available for self-hypnosis. I even have a tool that I created, this guided meditation for post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's all connected to certain, again, frequencies of the brain to help reprogram. So how we reprogram, we go into deep states of trance, data state. And you can do a lot of this work yourself. That's why I recommend all these tools for auto-hypnosis. But also, if you would like to experience a shift faster, I recommend you look into quantum healing hypnosis. I have a website. It's called balancesperfection.com. You can read about it. You can ask me questions. I have some recordings of sessions that I performed. Some of them are very, very intimate. I don't post all of them, but I had incredible results with people. And I also had results that were not as powerful. And I want to maybe touch upon this a little bit as well. Again, everything is in the mind, right? And in the belief system. Do you believe in the mainstream that keeps telling you that you are dependent on your genes, on your biology, you're a victim, you are not able to change your fate? Or are you ready to come to the new understanding of how you can shift and change? Because again, our DNA builds blocks based on signals from the outside, meaning our mind as well. So you can reshape your DNA. We have proofs for that. If you're looking at medicine, even in Western medicine, 30% of cases, healing cases, come from placebo. The same goes for the opposite effect, the nocebo. When you believe in the diagnosis that is negative, the choice is always yours. The belief system that you connect to will be the living force of your life. And the mechanism works both ways. Positive belief system delivers results. Negative belief system also delivers results. It's just a machine. It's just a tool that is actually depending on how we use it. So that's why I wanted to invite you to look into hypnosis, because it's a safe and amazing way to go deep into the programming that could also come from past generations. If there's trauma unresolved, if there are things that were never acknowledged, you have those types of tendencies running in you energetically, mentally, emotionally. So address it. There's absolutely no need to live a life in fear, in limitation. The more of us that will be examples of that life that is free of fear, that is, embracing love and connectedness and oneness, first with ourselves, the more we will shift the environment. If you think of the idea of spontaneous remission, let's say you see a cancer patient, the belief system signals the DNA to form a new pathways, new blueprints for the protein to be built the way that is healthy, and the patient experiences remission. The same can happen to Earth. Earth is also an organism. We're dealing with a lot of environmental difficulties that are a result of the same negative belief system that we're holding inside of us, still many of us. So what happens on a micro level happens on this large scale as well, including our Earth. Since we are creating the environment, the better environment we create ourselves, the more chances for Earth to experience remission as well and regenerate. This is really the only way we can, make it to this new phase. We are definitely living in an era of consciousness awareness. Again, all these new scientific studies are proving that we are all connected, and your thoughts, your belief systems are affecting everything around you, affecting your DNA, not the other way around. And I hope that, our school systems will also adopt this new information and stop really teaching people outdated science. I hope this video inspired you to look into hypnosis, to look into yourself first, and see if the belief system, habitual one, the one that reacts in a certain way, is something that you would like to keep, or maybe something that you think you need to work on and reprogram yourself because again, the future is in our hands, and we're going through very, very intense times on Earth, and we need to be very well prepared for all these transitions that are going to happen. This technique, among any others, it's a very powerful tool to learn that the mind is malleable and you're in control. And you can definitely, by going in and doing self-inquiry, able to come to the place of acceptance, healing, oneness, empowerment. And we really need that in these times of transition. All the belief systems are crumbling down. Things are not as they used to be. If you do not embrace oneness, empowerment, and responsibility towards your own well-being, you will start definitely feeling a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of these shifts that Mother Earth is going through will affect your mood, will affect your health. I don't know if you're already in tune, but I am definitely experiencing lots of different vibrations that are coming from Earth. As I do a lot of grounding, a lot of yoga, all these practices, my antennas are crazy open. So I can't even imagine how people who are relying on coping mechanisms, on disassociation, how they must be feeling in this world that is going through such turbulent time. But I just want to finish with that. You know, when you look at caterpillar that becomes a beautiful butterfly, DNA of a caterpillar is exactly the same as DNA of a butterfly. Embrace change, embrace your own divinity, embrace your own power. And if you have any questions regarding quantum healing hypnosis or would like to book a session, feel free to go to my website, balancesperfection.com. I'm also happy to travel to your city. If I have 3 clients in any of the cities of United States, as long as I'm in US, I'm happy to travel, visit you, and help you get to this place of, you know, openness, of possibilities, rather than feeling restricted. So with this message, I leave you for tonight. I hope that it inspired you. All my love to you, devotion. I bow to the unseen in you that is broadcasting the information to your mind, to the body. And thank you for tuning in. I see you next time in the next episode of Tree of Life Spiritual Coaching. Namaste.